Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the colossal notes from the Pastor Cave. As you can see, nighttime has descended behind me. I only have the beauty of the ring light and a few other little lights going on right now in the Pastor Cave. And I have a confession, and that confession is that this is the latest recording of a Notes from the Pastor Cave that we have ever done before. And what I mean by that is that I really have always wanted to get two notes out to you, two video notes out to you every week. And it is now a Sunday evening. Now, let me explain. To most of the world, Sunday is the first day of the week, okay? But not if you're a pastor. If you are a pastor, Sunday is the last day of the week. And so because your whole week, your whole week just kind of works up to Sunday, and Sunday is the big day. So Sunday, in your mind, if you're a pastor, Sunday is the last day of the week. And so according to my calendar, this is the second video note that we're going to put out this week because I'm going to do it before midnight here. And and with all due deference to those of you who keep the calendar differently than I do, this will be the second one, and therefore kind of keep my pledge. But I did mention in the last video that the next couple of weeks for me and Mrs. Pastor Cave are just madness. I mean, they're just crazy. So if you are the type of person who prays for pastors, please pray for me. It's going to be a wild couple of weeks. And one of the things that I always discover when I have a couple of weeks like this is that I'm not as young as I used to be. And it's a little hard. It takes a little more out of you all the time. All right. So we have been in Exodus chapter 24, and this is the part of the story where God invites Moses back up onto Mount Sinai again, where his presence is up there. And the first time around, well, it's not the first time around, but in the first time around, chapter 24, he not only invites Moses up, but he invites a small pile of people up along with Moses, and so we find out later that Joshua's probably with him, and then we have what's supposed to become, and there's a tragedy later on, but what's supposed to become the core of the priestly family in Israel. There's Aaron and two of his sons, Nadab and Abihu. And then there are 70 elders. So those would be heads of the 12 tribes, and maybe just an elder picked here and there also. And God invites all of them up, and he invites them up for dinner. And last video we talked about the significance of that, but consider the fact that God could have invited them up to do it. Come up here and I'm going to lecture you for a couple of days, or come up here and we're going to discuss philosophy, or come up here and we're going to go bowling or play golf. God could have said anything, but he said, "Come up here, and now I've prepared a table for you, and I am going to eat with you." And so all of the people in that group, talk about something to tell people for the rest of your life. Hey, one night I had dinner with God. And the other guy says, well, we'd all like to feel that way. No, you don't understand. I had dinner with God. So it's this amazing moment, and talked about last time that this is essentially God's way of saying, that I extend my friendship to you, and it's very beautiful. And then when you get later on in the chapter, we have this moment at which that scene's kind of all over, and then God invites Moses to go back up on the mountain by himself, and so starting in verse 15. Moses went up on the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain, and the glory of the Lord dwelt on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. 6 days, okay? Keep that in mind. And on the seventh day, he called to Moses out of the midst of the cloud. Now, the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain, and Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Okay? And I've written a note to myself here, and it has to do with this word that none of us really likes. And if you are going to be a devout follower of God, it's a word that you have to come to terms with, because particularly in the New Testament, it's mentioned many times as part of the portfolio of a mature believer. And that word, get ready to shiver, right? That word is patience. Ooh, right? Nobody likes patience. But when we think of the idea of patience, ordinarily we think of person to person, human to human contact. So I need patience when I'm playing phone tag with somebody, and it takes me forever. I need patience with my kids and my family. I need patience on my job, or else I might not have a job. I need patience for I need patience when I go to Walmart and stand in line for a long time. There's just all of these scenarios. I need patience when I'm caught in traffic. There's all these scenarios that really require this discipline of patience. And so when I say the word patience, after you do your initial shivering, probably the first thought process that you had was the idea of being patient with other people. But here's just kind of an entirely different thing, in that Moses has to be patient with God. Moses has to be patient with God. This is not about Moses and his wife, or Moses and the trouble that Miriam and some of the other people get. This has nothing to do with that kind of patience. This is he goes up on this mountain. You would think, and I wonder if there had to have been moments while he's up there where he's thinking, God, I know you told me to come up here, but you're not really showing like I thought. What am I waiting for here? I'm just waiting. And so he's up there for 6 days. So that Moses goes up, enters the cloud, and this cloud is there for 6 days. But God doesn't show up to talk to Moses until the seventh day. Okay, so there's this great need of patience in the life of Moses, even in his dealings with God. And I have to say, as much as I don't want to admit it, this is one of the things I've discovered in my own spiritual life, that God always requires for me to have patience with him. The number of times when I've prayed about something and God just turned around and answered like this, really, maybe 10%, right? The other 90% is the first message you get from God when you pray is the word wait, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, God, this is, okay, we're in the usual waiting pattern. And of course, God invented time, but he's not bound by time because it's his creation, so he can do anything he wants with it. And just to us, it seems like a long time sometimes when we're, sometimes about 90% of the time for me, when we're waiting for God to do something. Okay, so there's this discipline of patience with God. There's this discipline of patience within our relationship with God, and then again. In the 18th verse, we see that in total God was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. That's a long time to be up there, and there's certainly, and maybe when you're in the presence of God like that, maybe you lose track of time. Obviously, only Moses and a few other people in the history of the world would know that. It all required patience. It all required doing things on God's timing. I'm sure that Moses, well, I'll go up there. Moses is a really old man at this point. I'll go up there and God will show up immediately, and wow, we'll have a conversation like we always do. And then God's obviously getting ready to do something special here. So whatever it is, I'll receive that from God. I'll bring it back to the people. That would have been the thought process. And then you go up there and you wait for 6 days. And the point is this, that we need to develop patience not only person to person, and that's a biggie because it has to do with our testimony, it has to do with our witness as people of God. If we are all bound up in a tension ball like the rest of the world, then what we're showing the rest of the world is that the God we serve is no different than the God that they serve. So I need to have a different spirit about me. I need to have a different demeanor about me. Okay, and that's the person. But also, we have to remember that we also have to be patient with God. And I wonder how many times we give up on praying about something or give up on a dream that we think has come from God because we just lack the patience. We just can't hang in there long enough to do what needs to be done so that God can do what He wants to do in His timing, because it's really all about His timing, not about ours. One of the things I talk about with my congregation all the time is that God's will is not only a thing, it's not only an objective, but God's will is also a timing. All right, so when I was 17 years old, God called me to be a preacher. Okay, and I really had very few opportunities to begin preaching immediately, but I still would have had the same calling when I was 7. But God didn't call me when I was 7 and had me start preaching at 7. Okay, there was a timing issue here. So part of God's will is always God's timing. And you have to marry those two ideas. You have to marry those two thoughts together. And when it comes to meeting with God, patience, just like the rest of life, is required. And patience is a God thing. It's something that God wants to develop in us. So that's it for tonight. Latest version ever of Notes from the Pastor Cave. Vita brevis gloria aeterna. Life is short. Glory is eternal.